Most gardeners either dump coffee grounds in a thick layer around plants or throw them into compost and forget about them. Both approaches waste potential. Worse, I've seen thick layers of wet grounds form a crust that repels water, slows oxygen exchange, and temporarily ties up nitrogen right when crops are trying to establish roots. Then people blame their soil, their seeds, or the weather. The problem wasn't coffee, it was how it was used. If you're serious about growing high-yield vegetables and you want methods that actually move the needle, subscribe to the Farm Logic channel. This isn't theory gardening. This is what I've tested in backyard beds, raised systems, and controlled hydro setups. Let's get clear about what coffee grounds actually do in soil. Used coffee grounds are roughly 2% nitrogen by volume, along with small amounts of potassium, magnesium, and trace minerals. That nitrogen is mostly in organic form. It doesn't behave like a synthetic fertilizer. It feeds microbes first. When those microbes break it down, they release nutrients in forms your plants can use. That microbial activation is where the yield gains come from. But this only works if you control the ratio. In an in-ground vegetable bed, I aim for no more than 10% coffee grounds relative to the total organic material I'm adding. In practical terms, if I'm top dressing a 4x8 foot bed with 1 inch of compost, I'll mix in about half to 1 5-gallon bucket of used coffee grounds and incorporate everything into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil. I never leave it sitting on the surface in a thick mat. It gets blended. When I ran side-by-side tomato beds, same variety, same irrigation, same sunlight, the bed with properly incorporated coffee showed stronger early vegetative growth by week 4. Stems were thicker, leaf color was deeper green. Not because coffee is magic, but because the microbial population was more active and nutrient cycling was faster. Now let's talk about what high yield actually means in this context. Yield isn't just about nitrogen, it's about consistent moisture, balanced pH, and stable root conditions. Coffee grounds slightly improve soil structure when used moderately. In sandy soil, they increase water retention. In heavy clay, they add organic matter that improves aggregation over time, but too much can compact and reduce airflow. In raised beds, I reduce the ratio even further. These systems are contained, and fine organic particles can build up quickly. I stick to 5 to 7% by volume and make sure they're evenly mixed. Raised beds respond quickly to imbalance. You'll see it within weeks if you overdo it. There's also the acidity myth. Used coffee grounds are close to neutral, typically around 6.5 to 6.8. They are not going to dramatically acidify your soil unless you're applying extreme amounts over years. I've measured beds before and after seasonal applications and rarely seen more than a 0.2 pH shift when used responsibly. And this is where measurement separates serious growers from guesswork. When I adjust organic inputs, I track soil moisture, temperature, and pH. A simple tool like the Yamron 4-in-1 soil moisture meter makes that practical. It measures moisture percentage, soil temperature, pH, and sunlight intensity. You insert the probe about 4 inches into the soil, wait around 10 seconds, and get digital readings on a backlit screen. It runs on 4-day batteries and even alerts you when battery power is low. What I appreciate is being able to take readings from 5 different spots in a bed and average them, especially for pH. Coffee grounds can slightly increase moisture retention. Without monitoring, it's easy to overwater. The meter takes that guesswork out. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description. Now let's get more strategic about application. For heavy feeders like tomatoes, peppers and squash, I like incorporating coffee grounds about 2 weeks before transplanting. I'll loosen the soil, blend in compost and coffee at the correct ratio, water deeply, and let microbial activity ramp up before roots go in. That waiting period really matters. If you transplant immediately into a bed loaded with fresh organic material, microbes can temporarily compete for nitrogen during decomposition. In container gardening, you want to scale everything down. In a 5-gallon grow bag, I mix no more than 2 tablespoons of used coffee grounds into the top layer of potting mix. Containers are sensitive environments. Excess organic matter can stay wet too long and create fungal issues. I've actually seen peppers stall in containers because growers treated them just like in-ground beds. So if you're running hydroponics or cocoa-based systems, you really do not want to dump coffee grounds into your reservoirs. That's just asking for clogged lines and, honestly, a lot of biofilm buildup. What you can do instead is incorporate coffee grounds into aerated compost tea at about 10% of the compost input. Brew it for about 24 hours with strong aeration, strain it thoroughly, and then apply it as a root zone drench in soilless media. That way, you support microbial diversity without introducing any solids into the system. There are definitely trade-offs here, and we need to be honest about them. Coffee grounds tend to encourage fungal activity, which is excellent for perennial systems and fruit trees, but annual leafy greens often prefer more bacterial-dominant soils. So, if I'm growing lettuce or spinach for fast turnover, I keep coffee inputs lighter. On the other hand, if I'm building long-term soil health in berry beds or orchard rows, I'm more generous, within safe ratios, of course. Another overlooked factor is compaction. Wet coffee grounds can really clump together. Always mix them with other organic matter. Never apply them in thick surface layers expecting miracles. I've actually scraped off hardened mats from beds where water was literally running off instead of soaking in. The reason this method increases yield isn't because coffee is a fertilizer replacement, it's because it strengthens the soil engine. You see, active microbes improve nutrient mineralization, root interaction, and overall soil structure. That creates consistent growth instead of spikes and crashes. Consistency is what high yield really looks like. You get strong vegetative growth, steady flowering, uniform fruit development, and, honestly, fewer stress symptoms. If you're not measuring moisture and pH while experimenting, you're flying blind. Coffee can subtly change how water behaves in your soil. I've seen moisture readings stay 5 to 8% higher in amended beds compared to controls. That really changes irrigation scheduling. Again, tools like the Yamron meter make that visible instead of just theoretical. This approach works because it respects biology. It doesn't rely on dumping soluble salts and just hoping plants absorb everything before it leaches away. It builds a system that cycles nutrients continuously. So, don't waste your grounds by treating them like trash or miracle dust. Use them with intention, measure your ratios, monitor your soil, adjust based on data. If you value practical field-tested strategies that actually improve your harvest, go ahead and subscribe to the Farm Logic channel. Share this video with another grower who wants higher yields without gimmicks. Better soil management leads to better food. And, better food starts with understanding what you're putting into your soil and why it works.